Hi everyone, thank you so much for clicking on this video to hear my top 10 lists for both my favorite and least favorite movies of 2023. My name is Chris, where I make fun reviews for movies and more, and this, I would say, has been a great year for movies. These are obviously my opinions, that's why I'm calling it my favorite and least favorite, and rather not the best and worst movies like most people do of the year. Now, I know I'm doing this because y'all are going to judge me. Oh yeah, this list is going to be far from what you probably watch from these critical reviewers on YouTube, because some of these guys really know what they're looking at, really know what they're talking about. I am a casual reviewer on YouTube. I like what I like and I don't like what I don't like. Now, for some of these movies, I probably either haven't watched or they're just not extremely good or bad, in my opinion, if you don't see them on these lists. However, some of these films I know you guys have forgotten all about, which is a good thing, and I apologize for bringing these back up, because these are kind of bad. We'd rather not hear about these movies, right? But good thing for you watching this video, I did review about 75% of these movies on these lists. So I will put the link above in this video. You should see it pop up whenever, and that would mean that I did do a review for that movie, because I will keep things short for this review. But if you want a more in-depth review for that movie, then make sure to click on that link. Now, starting things off with the good, this is my top 10 list for my favorite movies. Starting at number 10, I have The Sound of Freedom, mainly because this topic is very serious, and if you guys didn't know, this company that tried to make this movie has such a hard time promoting the movie. So once I watched this very controversial movie, I thought it was a great movie in regards to the story and the production. So in regards to this movie, guys, if you haven't watched it already, I know it's a very serious topic, it's hard to watch. I would highly suggest everyone watch this at least once. Now, at number 9, I know this is probably so far from people's favorite top 10 list, but for me, I have Cocaine Bear. Reason being is that I'm not a fan of horror at all, right? But when it comes to these like thriller, true story comedy movies, that's right up my alley, right? Because I could deal with some of the horror, some of the thriller. I don't mind that stuff, right? But for this movie, I really appreciate how it was based on a true story. Obviously, they exaggerated it completely in regards to the bear being on cocaine, as if in this movie. But I did like the character, I like the plot, and I like the pacing. Now, number 8 is definitely not in anybody's top 10. I know this because I've been watching your videos, I've been watching other reviews. I might be the only reviewer who loved this movie, and I don't care because I'm gonna stand by it. Just don't hurt my feelings, all right? Like, give it time to watch this movie, but hey, I'm gonna give it to Wish. Now, Disney may not ever recover from these past few years of their horrible creative decisions. I am one with 2 eyes who also realize the crappy movies they have recently made. However, with Wish, I do think it was a good, great effort to bring back that classic Disney animation and storytelling. I know for most people, they probably found the story and the characters boring, but I did enjoy this movie a lot. And on top of that, I loved the music 100%. Now, I'm giving my number 7 spot to the true story, or based on a true story, of Gran Turismo. Now, this, I've always been a big fan of PlayStation, the video game system, the brand, the company. However, definitely not this game. I'm not one of those people to just really focus on a Gran Turismo game because it is a racing simulator. However, with this true story movie, from the actors to the characters, and from a technical aspect, with the breathtaking editing and sound quality, I mean, I feel like they knocked it out the park with this movie. At number 6, I'm probably definitely going to get bashed for having this movie kind of low on my list, I guess you could say, but I'm giving it to Oppenheimer. And with Oppenheimer, I absolutely love this movie in regards to how much they tried to teach the audience about this historical figure and this historical time in our history, because it is life-changing. I mean, what happened in this movie in real life altered the course of history forever to where we're stressed about it to this day. And I also loved how they try to keep it in regards to like a thriller aspect. From the brilliant cast, music, and obviously directing from Christopher Nolan is why it's on my list. The reason why it's a little low on my list is because I am one of those people who I wasn't fully immersed or in love with the third act, because it is the third act, it kind of feels very different from the entire rest of the movie that we just watched. And with it being 3 hours and you have a third act like that where it's a little slow, a little I wouldn't say boring, but just a lot of discussion going on. That's the only reason why I have it a little low on my list compared to others such as yourself that may love this movie. Now, number 5 is where, yes, we're going to get into the very popular franchise branding territory, because I love these type of movies. I always will. I love these big franchises, right? For better or worse, some of these movies in these franchises are absolutely horrible. We'll get to those later. But for now, at number 5, I got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It's such a beautiful story how friends turn family and how they tried to save someone. They tried to save someone's life while also learning about this person's life for the very first time. So it's a very beautiful story in regards to all that. Now, number 4, I have Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Crazy long ass title, kinda unnecessary, but what's so brilliant about this film is probably one of the greatest stunt films in history. I mean, you got this guy Tom Cruise who's absolutely crazy. I mean, everyone should watch this movie at least once to see what this guy put his body through. I mean, the guy literally drives a motorcycle off a freaking huge ass mountain cliff and then into a parachute onto a moving train. Obviously, the moving train part's where they do an edit. He didn't really do that, but he really jumped off this freaking cliff. I mean, I kind of want to do it too, but it's got to be like a big cushion down below, like a massive football size, something where I know I'm safe, because Tom Cruise is crazy. He did so many takes to get the perfect take, and much respect to him. Absolutely insane, but everyone should definitely watch this movie. It's not even about the stunts now that I think about it. The story is also decent. It's a very important, I wouldn't say it's as big as Oppenheimer, but in regards to them telling the story of showing off the power of artificial intelligence, I mean, that's kind of like the next atomic bomb in a way, depending on how it could be used. So also a very good story. Now we're getting to the top 3. At number 3, this movie broke my heart in so many different ways I did not expect. They didn't have to do all that. It broke my heart, but it made me appreciate this movie and life so much more. And at number 3, I'm giving it to Godzilla -1. Reason being is because, oh my God, as you watch this movie, you realize it's not so much about Godzilla, it's about people, it's about humanity coming together with your loved ones or not loved ones, even your neighbors, whoever can, it's about people coming together that become family, and they try to do the unthinkable, the impossible, to achieve to achieve the greatness that's needed to survive. But don't get it twisted, right? Because Godzilla, like always, is destroying a lot of shit. Godzilla is not playing around this movie, but they do keep them separated in regards to the characters, right? So I do look forward to making a review about this. I don't have it open up yet, but I plan to have it up a week from now, because even though it's in Japanese, I don't care what language you're speaking, everyone should watch this movie. Now, for my number 2 spot, I don't care what anybody says. It's probably not in your top 3, but for me, it is, right? Because we've gone decades with witnessing and being involved and interacting with this brand. This is one of the most popular video game franchises of all time. So I'm giving the spot to the Super Mario Brothers movie. I had so much fun watching this movie, and I think it is something for the entire family. I do think it is something for everyone if you've played one of these Nintendo games before. And the movie itself, yes, it is a very simple, straightforward story. However, with the wonderful characters that are brought to life, right? Because keep in mind, with the Mario characters, they hardly ever speak, right? We're more so reading along the captions. So to hear these voices brought to life, for better or worse, is absolutely amazing and like a dream come true. But on top of that, the animation is amazing in this movie, and it gives you hope for the future of animation as well. And speaking of animation, many of you might have saw this coming. I do see this part of many people's favorite number 1 movie list. But speaking of animation, I have to give my number 1 favorite movie unexpectedly for the year of 2023 to Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. This movie blew me away. But honestly, in regards to the first movie, because this movie that got the number 1 spot is actually a sequel to Into the Spider-Verse. Now, I wasn't crazy about that movie. I would say like the animation took me a while to get used to. Even the story, I felt like it was just okay in my opinion. It was definitely one of those movies that I felt like it wasn't really for me until I watched this damn sequel. And now I have so much appreciation for the new style of animation, the freaking characters, and the damn storytelling. I think that's what got this number 1 spot, because it's the cliffhanger at the very end of this movie. Now, I think some people were frustrated because they didn't realize this was like a part 1. I remember that's how they first promoted this movie, as like a part 1, because this cliffhanger is freaking huge. And if you're a fan of this character, Miles Morales, it's got you super hyped. It got you ready to fight for him, to fight with him. So I'm super excited to watch the next one. I hope it's just as good, if not better. But I do think that's exactly what makes a great movie, because you could be watching a movie or any experience, right? But if the final ending or conclusion is a fall off or it's not good, even though this is a cliffhanger, it's absolutely one of the best cliffhangers to make you wanting more. But what you don't want more of is bad movies. And that's where we're going to transition to. Oh my God. So here we go. This is my top 10 list of least favorite movies of 2023. Now, like I said, this isn't like the worst movies, because even starting at number 10, this barely made the list. I actually had Barbie at number 10, because I don't think Barbie is a horrible movie. I just really dislike the story they decided to go with for that movie. But instead, I watched one of these new movies recently, a few days ago. I'm like, you know what? I could rearrange my list. This list of top 10 got swapped out a lot, and I'm going to get to that. But at number 10, I'm going to give it to The Boy and the Heron. I believe this was promoted as Studio Ghibli's final film, And that's why I was so interested in seeing this film, because I am trying to get more into those films from that studio, because they have some of the best animation and storytelling in the world. Now, the animation for The Boy and the Heron is great as always. However, with the story, I just feel like it could have been so much better if this was their final movie. I feel like it had good concepts, but the ending was very boring, and just the pacing, just everything felt kind of bland for me personally into watching this movie, and that's why I wasn't the biggest fan of it. Now, at number 9, I have Next Goal Wins, which is the true story of how American Samoa, how this U.S. territory can improve, if not prove themselves to the FIFA organization and to the world that they are a deserving and decent soccer team, because oh my god, they are the worst team in history. So that's what this movie is all about. Can they score legit, like could they literally score a single goal? That's all they need, just a single goal. I do think there were interesting characters in this movie. However, I just wasn't a fan of the comedy whatsoever. The comedy didn't really land for me at all, along with the editing and directing. I just didn't like the style. I feel like the movie was half-ass made, and I feel like for the story, just everything could have been better if they made better decisions for this project. Now, this next movie at number 8 really disappointed me because it is a sequel, and I loved the first movie. This is like your typical blockbuster movie. It's not no like Oscar-worthy movie, but it was a fun popcorn movie, the first one. The second one was a huge letdown. I'm giving it to Meg 2. Now, with the Meg 2, just everything was a letdown. It was like it was just a downhill letdown from the first one in regards to the story, the acting, the writing. I could go on and on. The visual effects. I mean, I could go on and on why Meg 2 was so worse than Meg 1. So it was definitely a letdown for me. Now, number 7, I believe everyone has this movie on their list, but it's Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumanium, and such a disappointing ending or final movie for the trilogy of Ant-Man. And also very horrible script for Jonathan Majors. Although he's no longer playing King the Conqueror anymore, he was playing King the Conqueror in this movie. This was our first official time seeing King the Conqueror, and Marvel promoted this guy as if he was like the next level Thanos threat in regards to a villain. But if you're watching this movie, the beginning's not bad, but then like toward the ending of the movie is laughable how this character was portrayed. Very weak and very, just their writing, like always in these recent Marvel movies, very childish. I think they're trying to make it laughable, but it's like we're not laughing with you, we're laughing at you at this point. Like they need to do better, more serious screenwriting for these characters so that we could care more about these characters. Because honestly, I ain't care about none of these characters in this movie. Now, I know y'all forgot about this movie, but I didn't. So I'm going to bring it back up just to piss y'all off because I was pissed off. So at number 6, oh yeah, I'm giving it 65. Don't forget about 65. You would think with Adam Driver and dinosaurs would be awesome, right? Adam Driver plus dinosaurs equals awesome. Let's go. But no, right? Based on this trailer, I thought it would have been super cool, super awesome. Nope. It wasn't. The story was just one of those movies where the trailer's awesome, but yet when you watch it, the story is just so boring. These lame-ass characters. Like, some of these movies have such an opportunity with the plot idea to make it so epic, but then it just becomes this, like, dragged-out movie with these shitty special effects or visual effects. So frustrating. I mean, I don't know how many more of those movies I could watch, especially when you have a big-name actor like Adam Driver and dinosaurs. Anything with dinosaurs has to be awesome. Unless it's like a low-budget Walmart movie, then okay, we got that. It is what it is. But when you promote it like it's going to be epic and then it's not, I was so pissed off and let down from this movie. Now, number 5 is definitely on everybody's list. I'd probably have mine too high because I know everyone got this in their top 3 probably, but I'm giving it to the Marvels. The reason why it's not like super high or low on my list, right, it's in the middle because if it wasn't for that actress, the young actress who played Miss Marvel, she literally carried this movie over these veteran actors. I mean, this movie, I feel like it had such a good opportunity and potential to be not a great movie, but a good movie, right? Because, I mean, I don't hate these characters like most people, but what the hell? Like, we had this horrible villain, shitty CGI, shitty visual effects. I mean, the acting was pretty bad besides Miss Marvel. Everything about this movie was so, like, half-assed lame, and it could have been so much better. But they just kind of just put it together and put it out there. And they need to do better. Like, you know, less quantity, more quality. Because hopefully this is the last year and Disney really turns things around. Because movies like this, they shouldn't be made. I mean, I get some people love this movie for, like, just the funness of it. But if you're a fan of, like, Marvel and the MCU, or just even, like, serious movies such as acting and all that, even me, right? I'm kind of borderline, like, casual, serious viewer. But even I could tell this movie was like half-ass made. Now, this is actually a really good transition into my next movie at number 4, because I just mentioned I would classify myself as a type of reviewer or critic who tries to view things not so artsy and serious, but also on the more casual, fun side. Like, I'm right in the middle, right? Now, this next movie really, really pissed me off. I was actually going to give this like my worst film of the year because I did watch it a few days ago because it's extremely artsy. It's going to be one of the movies that gets all the effing Oscars. I don't even effing give a shit. But at number 4, this is going to piss people off because I see everybody loves this movie. Like, these artsy people or the people that love film, they love this movie. But for me, as like a casual viewer, it was way too much for me, but I'm giving it to Poor Things. I'm just keeping it honest and real with you guys. I know I say that all the time, but it's just to add that emphasis that I don't mean to like hurt anybody's feelings. But for me personally, when I watched this movie, either it was late at night, I don't know what happened, I was just really mad. This is one of the first movies in a while that I wanted to walk out the theater. That's how bad I thought Poor Things was. Now, like I said, we're like changing my list for top 10 least favorite. This was one of those movies, like I said, it was going to be number 1, but thank God I gave it a few days to think about it. And my number 1 movie is a movie that I also watched recently, so I had to swap things around because I was like emotionally charged up after watching this shitty movie, in my opinion. Now, if you don't know, this movie is rated R, so if you got like a loving, caring family and y'all don't really watch like rated R movies, you might not want to watch this one with them, your parents, your kids, because this is pretty crazy. And this is the most misleading trailer in the world. I mean, I thought this was going to be like one of them Tim Burton mysterious movies where, well, pretty much what it's about is like a Frankenstein coming of age movie where this man saves a woman and he brings her back to life. But even though she's a grown woman, she has to start over as if she's a baby. She has to learn to walk, learn to talk, and then she goes out into the world. I mean, and just hearing this, right, it sounds beautiful, inspiring, and awesome. But the way this director decided to film this movie, this is definitely his style, his take on art. I mean, she goes out into the world and it's one of the most like, it's disgusting. And I understand why, but it's one of those films that they've shown too much. Like, I get the point. Show me one scene, 2 or 3 scenes of what you're trying to tell me. You don't have to show me like 10. And what scenes I'm talking about is pretty much if you want to watch a porno, go watch this movie. Go watch a porno in theater. Go right ahead. I know they got those anyway in these shitty plazas, right? But if you want to watch like a legit movie that's kind of a porno, go there because there's so many sex scenes, vulgar sex scenes, that I've lost count. You know what I mean? It's just so much shit, and it's like, that's too much. Too much of anything is never a good thing. You feel me? So, and on top of that, have like a lot of these like up close incision scenes where the doctor's like cutting stuff, and it's like, yo, all right, I saw one. You don't have to show me a couple more. I get he's a surgeon. So it's one of those like very aggressive filmmaking styles. Now with art, is to like get a reaction out of people, right? So even for me as a reviewer, I was really mad at this movie, and I was just saying, nah, it's trash all around. I don't give a shit. But realistically, if you sit back and you really watch the movie, you try your best to watch the movie, my favorite parts is the set designs. Beautiful set designs, absolutely. Even the acting, right? I'm not a big fan of Emma Stone at all. I don't really like her. I don't find her cute. None of that. Like, I guess she's talented. I just don't really watch her like that. So to watch her like getting her freak on every other scene, it's like, yo, what the hell? Like, what I'm getting at is Mark Ruffalo's in here. I love Mark Ruffalo. He's that guy. He's that dude. He's playing like a wacky comical character, so that is interesting. The acting, I can say, is great. The set design is great. The plot of the story, the concept of the story is absolutely beautiful. I just wish it was directed so differently, like in a PG-13, I guess, or even if it was rated R, you don't have to have so many sex scenes. Now, the reason why there's so many is that because for a short time in her life, she is a prostitute. But like I said, with the directing and editing, they decided to put so much of that shit in here to where it's like, all right, it don't even make sense at this point. Why is it so much sexuality shown here? Now, there's always a reason behind the artist's choice and decision, but for me, I was not a fan of that shit whatsoever. I also view films in a technical aspect. I was not a fan of his directing style or editing choices. I mean, most of the film is filmed like in this fishbowl, like GoPro, where that's like rounded edges. I'm like, all right, I get it, but like that's most of the movie, and I just feel like it was overused and it was overhyped. And then there was like a lot of the directing choices I wasn't even a fan of, just from a technical aspect. But some of these reviewers and critics will call it effing brilliant. I mean, good for them. If you love this movie, good for you. I don't want to talk shit and I feel like this says a lot about you if you love this type of movie, because everyone likes their own shit, right? I can't judge, but people judge all the time, right? Just for me, a little too extreme for me personally. Now, number 3, I don't know if this is the opposite. It's like a G-rated movie, but yes, I think Disney made this movie as well. And I'm giving it to Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Now, for most of you people, this is like number 1, you hated this film on your list. I get that completely. But I also got these other 2 films I'm going to get to shortly. But with this film, I refuse to let it discourage me from still watching the original trilogy, because I have yet to watch those other Indiana Jones movies, and I will, because it has to make up for this fifth and final piece of shit. Because like you would think for a final movie in an epic franchise that it would be epic, but why the F would it be the opposite? Like, why would you just throw this beautiful character in the trash? I mean, there's beauty in it. I could see that. I could see how they try to do it, but it doesn't make up for the entirety of the movie or the plot for this type of story. And I'm not going to talk about Disney anymore, but I was one of those people that was always confused. Like, what do you mean? Like, oh, Disney bought Star Wars and now Star Wars is ruined. They're going to make it Disney-like. I'm like, what the hell does that even mean? But honestly, guys, after these past few years, I'm converted now. I know exactly what you're talking about in regards to Disney with Star Wars, Marvel's, Indiana Jones. It's like they take these iconic franchises and make the script and these characters so childish, or they change the characters entirely, or they add new characters that are forced upon us, like we care about them, and they make it just so childlike and laughable, and there's like no serious tone anymore to these characters. Now, for my top 2 movie, I know most people didn't even know about this movie, or they definitely forgot about this movie, but I didn't. Because when you start your year off, you want to start your year off right and in a good mood. And I was looking forward to watching this movie and going to this party. But number 2 is getting House Party. I apologize for bringing this movie back up into your life if you watched it and you hated it as much as I did, because it was a letdown. I was just talking about iconic franchises. House Party, don't get it twisted. That first movie is a classic. I never watched like 2, 3, and 4, but if that first movie is a classic and they build on that, I mean, oh my God, this movie just so lame and forced. Everything about this movie, I'm not even going to say it was a letdown. It was just a shit show. I could get into the technical stuff, like the directing, the editing, but even the writing with the characters, the jokes, everything about this movie, I did not find funny, or I didn't find creative. It just felt very bland and forced and lame. It is what it is. I am so sorry. If you guys agree with me, I mean, this is one of those movies that you kind of watch on shitty streaming services. Like, I just hate how they destroy these iconic franchises, which leads me to my number 1. I need to take a breather for this one, because this movie I just watched a few days ago, and this is what made me rearrange my list, right? Because I hope this is the final year for shitty franchise movies. I know Hollywood's run out of ideas, we get it, but goddamn, if you're gonna like rewrite a story based off like an iconic franchise or character like this next one, why the F can it not be a good movie, a vibe? Lord help us. So at number 1, I did have the honor and privilege of watching this in theaters the other day, in regular theater, thank God, because I was going to watch this in IMAX or Dolby, because I love those theaters. Thank God I watched it in a regular theater, because I wouldn't say I was pissed off during the movie. I just felt nothing the entire movie. So at number 1, I'm giving it to Wonka. See the dub? Ain't no dub here. Fucking L's all day for this movie. Yep, I don't care. Listen, it is what it is at this point, right? But watching this movie made me realize what bad acting is. Lame story, lame characters. It just reinforced, like, yeah, this one of those movies where he could be so much better. Everything about this movie could do so much better to breathe life into it. Any charisma, anything. Please, God, anything. But nothing about this movie was cheerful for me. Now, this is like a kid's movie, children's movie, family movie, whatever you want to call it. I love those type of movies. I could watch that now and then, even though I'm a grown man. But I would think if you're a little kid watching this Wonka movie, you're probably questioning, like, what am I watching? Why am I watching this? I'd rather go play Roblox, Fortnite, shit. I don't know. Play in the sandbox, because I'm not watching this boring-ass movie. I'm not getting nothing from it. I really wanted to watch this movie because, you know, Willy Wonka is one of the most iconic and epic fictional characters of all time. And also curious characters, right? Because we kind of see him in those movies, I guess, later in life. So since this is the prequel before he's established, I thought it was going to be like an epic movie. But instead, you're watching this boring-ass movie play out, and they try so hard to show heart, and they try so much to display good acting, and it's not at all whatsoever. If anything, they just keep talking about chocolate this, chocolate that. Try this chocolate, try that chocolate. Oh, look, you're floating. Haha. At this movie, I didn't even want to eat chocolate for the rest of my life after watching this movie. Until I got home, I saw chocolate on my kitchen counter, and I ate it because I was depressed, and I was sad, and I was angry at how shitty this movie was, and Timothy Chalamet shit. And I absolutely, as you guys know, love music, right? I like musicals. I could say I even love musicals, forget, right? But this music, so much music in this movie, It almost reminded me of like The Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't know if you watched my recent video where I talked about that briefly. Some of these movies have these songs where they're like kind of like the same melody, same fucking singing. It's like there's no effort. It's like the same tunes. There's no difference. That's why I liked Wish, because I thought Wish had different types of songs going on, different melodies, different beats, different singing. Whereas this movie, the music was so bland and bad. It like I just felt nothing from it. I thought, since this is kind of like, I was gonna say based on a true story, but since it's based on Willy Wonka, I thought it was gonna be like The Greatest Showman, very similar to that. How it's kind of like based off like this true character, whether fictional or not, or non-fictional. But The Greatest Showman was like a masterpiece with the acting, the characters, the story. This movie was so far from that. I can't. Don't even watch this movie. Wait for it to come out. You're not really missing much. I mean, literally, like you're not missing anything. At the end of the movie, they try so hard to make this other character have this very special moment, which you're happy for the character. But I hate when movies do that. It's like a slap in the face. It's like that doesn't cover up all the bullshit you just made me watch. I got nothing from that. Nothing. You almost made me hate chocolate. Thank God I didn't. Thank God. But like I said, even though these movies were pretty bad, or definitely not my favorite, far from my favorite, I don't think I would watch them again. Maybe some, but I would say, you can't have the good without the bad without the good. And overall, I would still say this was a great year for movies, because if you watch one of my other videos where I watched the anniversary movies, this was one of those years where they had so many anniversary movies back in theaters for a re-release. So going forward, I would highly suggest not only look forward to the new upcoming movies, but also like the new re-releases from old classics, because I mean, it's kind of like we have to watch these old classic movies to make up for half of the new bullshit that comes out, like this top 10 list. I mean, oh my God, guys. But let me know down in your comments. Go easy on me if you disagree with a lot of my choices. But if you also agree with my choices, let me know. Also, let me know what is your favorite, least favorite, best, worst movie of the year. I appreciate all the support this year. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe, like the video. And as always, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all on the next one. Peace.